moving on from our analysis of romantics, I thought what would be really fun for us to do, we were thinking this would be really fun for us to do as an exercise, create our own docuseries about anything that we wanted in Indian cinema. We could have any budget that we wanted. We would be the creator. We could bring anyone on. We have like access to every Indian film creative in the country, in the world.
We are one with the film industry, and the industry.
Yeah. We're one with the film industry. Unlimited amount of money, whoever we want for producing, like invite anyone and they'd say yes. Dream project, basically. Ooh. What would you do? What is your dream project?
Oof. Okay.
Do you have a title? So the way that I organize mine is like, I know what mine is going to be called, who will produce, who will the director/directors be, and what the episodes will cover.
I think I would keep it titled The Romantics, as I think the aspect of Indian films that I love so much, and I think they covered this also in the actual series, is at the core, I think what we thrive at are love stories. And those are the stories that have inspired me to love the films that I do. I'd probably keep the first 2 episodes from The Romantics, actually, because I think they tell a particular story that I think is important and sets the context for the rest of the films where I started watching. So
you're basically filling in the gaps of like what Romantics you would like to have seen from Romantics.
Exactly. Where it's like, I don't want Adi Chopra talking the entire time. I want to be able to ask these directors these questions, right? Obviously I can't talk to SG anymore, but I want to be able to talk to Adi. I want to be able to interview him, right? I want to be able to interview Karan Johar. I want to talk about Kal Ho Na Ho, Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum,
Kuch Hota Hai.
Kuch Hota Hai. You know, like these are the films that are like my bread.
They didn't even mention them, dog, in the fucking in the show.
Exactly. Fuck. Like not at all. And these are the films that I love and cherish and hold so deeply to my heart that I want to explore and be able to talk about and ask Karan about his creative process, right? I understand that he's taken a derivative from YRF cinema and the kinds of films that are being made larger than life. And I think those first 2 episodes lead into a good segue for setting that up for what I would say Shah Rukh's peak, right? They talk about DDLJ, right, so much in the second episode, but his actual peak is like Kuch Hota Hai to Main Hoon Na, right? That run,
I would say like, they'll say, but Kuch Hota Hai really.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like that run that he's had is insane.
97 to 04.
Yeah, I want to talk to Shah Rukh and be like, yo, what was going on? How are you dealing with this stardom? And put into perspective for me, talking to Karan to be like, how are you dealing with this? And how did you navigate, Shah Rukh in this aspect? What roles did Adi and Yash Chopra have to play in this story that needed to be told? And then dedicating episodes to Amir and Shah Rukh, 3 Khans.
Or Salman.
And Salman. Yeah, or just having an episode where I can sit them down and talk about just their stardom and like what they think of the industry, right? Because these are the stars that I have grown up watching that, means so much to me and has defined the film industry and the way that I go about watching films, right? Amir is a legend, right? 3 Idiots, PK, and it's just everything is like Gitare Zameen Par, like all of these, like I want to talk about like his creative process.
Lagan, bro.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like this.
Forget like the new stuff, like.
Yeah, he's been killing it, right? And I admire his creative process the most. And spending time to talk about the women in the industry that have, been killing it. Shreya Rai Bachchan, Kareena Kapoor, Priyanka Chopra. And
you should do eras, right? Like 70s, like Shabana Azmi, Sharmila Tagore, Zeenat Aman.
Yes.
And Rekha and Jaya Badri. I mean, before she became Jaya Bachchan was like a star in her own right. Like, right? And then 80s, like Madhuri, Juhi, Kajol, like 80s, 90s. And then everyone that you named in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's so much to the story, and it's like, like even 10 episodes. Now I'm thinking about it, like, damn, like even 10 might not be enough. But that's the beauty. And I think that's the art where it's like, there's so much fluff, yeah, we wouldn't have people like Tunnel Talker coming in and talking about.
No.
Um,
I don't look. I don't have a problem with Tanul. Tanul, if
yeah.
you're hearing this, I love you. No, I
Um,
understand. I understand. So
yeah.
yours would be like a more comprehensive history of Hindi cinema in general.
Yeah.
So I was thinking the same thing, right? It's so big. Like, how do you do, bro? Why do a one-off mini series when you can do seasons of a show?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
my show is called Pulling on the Thread that like romantics kind of laid out, which was they asked a question like, "What do you think about the term Bollywood?" And everyone's like, "Hate it." The show's called "Stop Calling It Bollywood" with an exclamation point. Okay, it'll have many seasons. It's
Yes.
produced by Netflix. I was thinking like
Mhm.
co-production is hard. Like if we
Yeah.
were to like bring two big like, but they would never agree because like they'd want it on
Yeah.
their platform, whatever.
Yeah.
So Netflix,
Yeah.
they have fuck tons of money. They usually throw money at people. Here are the directors I would want. Mine would be focused specifically on South Indian cinema. So it's a little bit of a play because stop calling it Bollywood. It's not going to be Hindi cinema. It's a bit of a red herring. It's primarily
Right.
focused on the South.
Right.
Here are the
Yes.
directors that I would bring on to direct individual episodes. Sudha Kongra, person who did Sala Kadus Irudi Suttur. She's one of the leading female directors in Tamil cinema. She did Surya, which I don't know if you watched. It's a Surya movie about this guy who has a dream to fly, be a pilot, and do a low-cost airline. He's from the village. Crazy good movie. It's on Prime. Shout out. Mani Ratnam would do the big Tamil episode. Prithviraj Sukumaran would do the Malayalam episode. Rajamouli, if we could get him, would do the Telugu episode. And I don't know who would do the Kannada episode because I'm not as well versed, but we would find someone to do it. Here are some episode ideas. Tamil star, South Indian star rivalries, the history of star rivalries. This is not a thing in Bollywood as much as, and in Hindi as much as it is in the South. There's been a steady diet of like two people that control the industry that like whose fans go fucking rabid when their films compete. They usually come out during the festival season, many festival seasons. They'll have a Diwali release or a Pongal release or a Tamil New Year release, and both films will clash and they'll see who comes out winning. Rajnikant and Kamal did this forever. Kamal Hassan and Rajnikant. They did this. They stopped acting together in the 70s because they would go head to head in the 80s. So there's like a whole contingent. It's like it's your personality trait. Like if you're a Rajni fan, you're a completely different person than if you're a Kamal fan. Kamal fans are sophisticated. They're like intellectual. They speak English with a little bit of a upper class accent. Rajni fans are fans of the masses. They're man of the people. He's man of the people, right?
Yeah.
Vijay versus Ajit was like a big 90s to now rivalry. Also used to appear in movies together. Still going, dude. They still are Tala versus Talabadi, right? Like that is a rivalry. There was a Dhanush versus Simbu, who's a Tamil actor, rivalry going, and I think still is a little bit, right? I think it's falling off a little bit. It's such a cool. There's entire fan clubs. They're called Rasigar Mandirams, where they get together, pool money to buy tickets for like the entire fan club. Go get it. Like the theater sold out because the fan club has bought all these tickets. It's crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's a cons rivalry, of course, but I think it's a little different. So we can do an episode on that. We can do feminist stories, dude. We can do an entire episode on women and how they were portrayed in the early parts of Tamil cinema. We could do an episode on Sridevi, honestly, and the way that she was a big part of the 70s and 80s, right? Similarly, but for Tamil cinema. We can do a story on Tamil directors like Balachandar and like the ones that I mentioned, Balu Mahindra. We can do Malayalam New Wave. We could do an entire episode on Bharathan, KG George, all these guys that are KG George, I think is still alive, but these like stalwart directors that made incredible cinema and inspired a lot of the even I would say rivalries, Mammootty and Mohanlal from Malayalam. That was like a big rivalry, right? Or Ramcharan Junior NTR, like all of these like Mahesh Babu versus like all these like contempt people. Rivalries,
I got you.
Is a big part.
I got you. Yeah, that's fire, man.
Seasons. You could so all of these could be like their own season too. Like depending on
Yeah.
how in depth you want to go to. I think that would have
Yeah.
broke open the show, right?
Yeah.
If they had said this is season 1 of an entire show called, I don't know, not named it The Romantics, that would have been
Yeah.
like, okay, maybe they're gonna. I could have given them a bit more grace, but that was tough for me to watch because I know they're not going to do seasons. I know this show is self-contained, and this is the story they chose to tell. So that's my pitch. Netflix, if you're hearing this, hire me. I don't think I'm ready yet. If you hire me right now, I think I'll shit the bed. Hire me in like 4 years. Give me some time to
Yeah. Yeah.
develop as
Yeah.
a storyteller, and I'll be on
Yeah.
board, baby.
Dude,
Uh,
no, definitely. I'm sold. I'm sold. It's there. It's for surely gonna happen. It's a story that needs to be told. You know
Bro,
the
imagine if
right.
Rajamouli was responsible for directing the season on Telugu Cinema, the few episodes.
Dude, I would go watch it in theaters, bro. Like, I wouldn't want to watch it at
You
home.
see what I'm
Like,
saying? You could
like,
amass talent and don't like hoard the director responsibilities. Outsource
Yeah.
it to like other talent that is like other people will come watch that shit. Given the opportunity, this would go hard.
Yes.
But
Oh my
let's
God.
transition out of our exercise. I'm really happy with the exercise that we did because I think we could really fix the mess that they made if we were given the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Let's do the seasons. Let's give it an equal opportunity because, as you'd mentioned, it's not just Bollywood, it's the entire Indian cinema that needs to be covered, right? So, yes, a
Bro,
season
we could
on.
really like, I mean, with seasons, you could like think of
Yeah.
it from a financial perspective. You could get people coming back to watch just because there's so much content to cover, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly. And
you
if
could
it's like,
actually do it justice.
yeah, and you could separate it out, like you could do like showings essentially. You could have people come out to like
And then you
theaters
could
for
really
particular
start putting them in
episodes.
conversation. You can like really learn like how Bahubali took off in the north and
Yeah.
completely changed the game forever.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Indian cinema will never be the same. Will
Yeah.
never be the same. RRR just won. They bypass Hindi has never even Lagan aside and Satyajit Ray's films aside hasn't even been nominated. Also,
Yeah.
no mention of Satyajit Ray.
Yeah.
How do you not do that? He was a contemporary. He was making films the same time Yash Raj debuted. Satyajit Ray is the only filmmaker to be named in the Oscars Lifetime Achievement. I mean, like he's like the Indian representative.
Mhm.
Bengali
Exactly.
filmmaker. Anyway. All right.
Exactly.
We're almost there. What did we watch last weekend, Himmy?
Oh my. Whoa. We saw Ranbir Kapoor and Shraddha Kapoor making their debut together on screen for the first time. And
Tu Jhoothi
I was
Main Makkar.
God, and I loved it.
Let's do a quick summary before you get into thoughts. Love story, classic love story, I would argue, in some ways. Man pursues woman. Woman doesn't easily fall for him at first, but then eventually does.
Plays into
Then
it, yeah.
there's a twist. It's a classic love story with a twist. Because Ranbir Kapoor plays a guy who runs a breakup facilitating company for the people that don't have the cojones to break up with their significant other. So they run a consulting group that gives you ideas and then also sets those ideas up for you for how to end relationships. And he also falls in love. Plot twist. The person he falls in love with wants to break up with him and uses his service. And then what happens after that? What was your viewing experience? What'd you think?
Dude, phenomenal. I love watching, Indian films in particular in theater because it's like not just the story that's like captivating, but it's the song. It's like I knew that this movie was gonna be good at the very least because the songs were banging. They released literally, I think all the songs, maybe except for like one or two before the movie had come out. And I think we were talking about this in the last episode where I was like, yeah, the songs are going to carry the film at the very least. And how I know that it's going to be a fun watch theaters because seeing that on the big screen and the speakers blasting in your ears just makes for such a great experience. We had a pretty packed theater from, like 80-year-old couples
Bruh.
to
Bay Area is so good.
8-year-old kids. It was so funny because there's there's this one part where Shraddha Kapoor and Ranbir Kapoor are like, like making out, like for real,
Like
like,
making.
yeah, yeah. Like they're getting into it. I'm like, okay, finally, like we see something of substance here. And then the kid in front of me, he goes, "Mommy, why did you close my eyes?" and, and and then I started laughing. He's like, "That wasn't even that bad." And literally, I just started laughing, bro. I was like, "Oh my god." That's story of my life, honestly. Like that's happened all the time where my protective parents have tried to guard me from intimate content, and
I mean,
just
honestly, I wouldn't want to watch it with my mom like that either, though. Like
yeah.
this movie, bro. Like she's Nangi for most of it, and like my
Oh,
mom
true,
would have
true. She's
definitely like this movie. I would have not wanted to watch with my parents for sure.
yeah, basically
But that
both
is
like half
hilarious.
naked.
I was dying.
Uh,
You were like,
yeah.
"I'm gonna save this for the pod," and I was like, "No, no, tell me."
Yeah,
I fucking
yeah.
died.
No, and I think that was phenomenal. I think my only critique, if I had to say something, was yes, the songs were good, but the reason that I really felt the runtime, right? It's 2 hours 45 minutes, and I think the reason that I felt the runtime was because I'd seen all the songs already. They released the entire song with the video that just played
What did they
in.
cut it? They cut it. They cut the fucking hip move
Yeah, they
from
cut the Tumka part, bro. The funniest
Tumka.
part they
Oh,
missed. Oh my
fuck.
god! Like, guys, so if
Anyway.
you go watch "Show Me the Tumka" on YouTube,
In
there's a part where Ranbir
the end,
Kapoor,
he moves her to his
from one
leg,
hip to
holding
this
her
other
hip.
hip. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she's like shaking her ass, and you see it, and it's like
Bro, it's
crazy, right? It's hella
hilarious. It
funny.
comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's hella funny, but they didn't, keep it in the film.
They didn't keep it
And
in the film.
so that was quite unfortunate. But I think because of the number of songs, there actually were quite a good number of songs. And I get that you're trying to promote the film and get people to like go watch it. And I'm okay with you releasing the music, but maybe don't release all the music videos along with it. Maybe do like the lyrical stuff, where it's just like
Yeah,
the
that's an
lyrics
interesting
for the
point. I
videos,
agree.
where like that's what I'm going to the theater for, right? I want to see that on the big screen. I want to see them on the beach with Ranbir with his 6-pack. I want to see that for the first time in the theater. I don't want to be that ruined for me by watching it on my
You want
phone.
to see
When I
Ranbir
wake
with
up.
that 6-pack, huh?
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
generally speaking, this was a commercial entertainer. I think we needed that. I think Bollywood needed that. It's very clear based on the numbers. This is one of the few 100 crore movies of the last like 3 years. Like a lot of the films haven't even cracked that benchmark. That
Yeah.
was released theatrical.
Yeah. And
And
as you,
I think, I think generally speaking, this movie worked because it was lighthearted and it was like really using the star power of Ranbir for sure, but star power that Shraddha, I didn't even know Shraddha had. Low-key, she's smoking in this smoke show, complete smoke show. In this film, I think her acting, where she like gets to act, is a little hilarious. Like I had a very different experience watching this. Unlike you, in a full theater with people of all ages, I was one of 4 people in the whole theater, and it was me and one of my good friends, Shivank. Shivank and I like went and like fully talked out loud. Like we were discussing this movie as it was happening with no regard for the 2 other people in the theater and like laughing, pointing, making fun. The whole courtship, like third of the movie where Ranbir's courting Shraddha, I thought was so stupid. We were dying in the theater when we saw this.
yeah.
And I was like,
Oh.
and then the
Yeah, yeah. That shit was hella funny, bro. I mean, he just like laughing like this, and he's just like, and then I'm just like, what?
yeah, we were dying at all of that, but it was so fun. So who cares, right? I had a great time. Let's do a quick rapid fire. This was going to be a whole segment, but whatever. Why did this movie work, Kimmy?
It's
Rapid
lighthearted.
fire.
It's fun. Has good songs. and is a classic feel-good love story, which I think we haven't
Amazing.
gotten in a very long time. Are rom-coms back?
I do think so. Karan Johar has talked about this. Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani coming out in July. I think this was a test, a litmus test, and I think it worked. And I think we are all itching for the lighthearted but opulent romance of the 90s that is very risque and forward-facing with its youthful romance, but also grounded in family and values. Next question. How important is a good soundtrack to a film's success?
Oh, it's like so important, right? Like may even like be more important than the film itself. Because that's what you're going to remember the film by, right? When we are after the film, what are we talking about? The songs. What are we listening to? The songs.
Yep.
Like that's literally.
Show me that tumka. Da, 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 da. Okay. All right. All right.
Do you think that the DLJ connection with family and bringing all of that together is resonating with fans of this movie?
We mentioned this earlier in the podcast 2 hours ago. Holy shit.
I'm gonna have a great time editing this episode.
Oh my god. 2 hours ago that this is why this movie works, because it is still the exact same play. Modern romance means great youth forward-facing Western, whatever, nungi, bikini, six packs. However, when you actually do fall in love, family has to be a part of it. Family has to get on board. Okay. Let's wrap this up.
You were also like permanently frozen on my thing, but I guess since I can still hear you, it's fine.
Yeah, you're a blob. I haven't been able to see your face for the last like hour and a half, so it's all good. What's coming to the theater, Amy?
It is a remake of
Qaidi.
Qaidi, yes.
Lokesh Kanagaraj movie. As we've mentioned, Lokesh is Tamil cinema's darling, the person that we are looking to save. Tamil cinema is building the LCU, Lokesh Cinematic Universe. That is already up and running, and it's looking real promising. Bhola, on the other hand, I don't know about that, Chief. They've done a remaking a Tamil movie. What is Bollywood up to? Kisi Ka Bhai, Kisi Ki Jaan, also a remake, another South film. Ajit's 2014 classic from Student Thanks to Ball.
Yeah.
We're going to do an episode on this. In TV, Rana Naidu is out, featuring Ranu Daggubati and Venkatesh Daggubati, his uncle. Two of Telugu cinema's pride and joy. Remake of an American show called Ray Donovan on Netflix. Quick thoughts? Terrible. 4 episodes in. I think it's garbage. What about you, Himi?
Yeah, I actually ended up finishing it because I was just like, I gotta see.
Yeah, I gave him the pass, y'all. I was like, he has a method where he just fast forwards things to get to know the plot.
It's it gets really much harder to watch.
Amazing.
So
glad I didn't spend that time watching it with you then. So our recommendation is please don't watch Rana Naidu. What to expect with YY5 in the coming weeks of the much promised reality TV episode that we're gonna do. Bhola Kisi Ka Bhai Kisi Ki Jaan is coming out April. Bhola May 31st. We're gonna do a South films episode and why most Bollywood films recently have been remakes of South films. Shehzada, Selfie, Bhola, and Kisi Ka Bhai are all remakes, y'all. So what's happening? What's happening, TT? And then we're also gonna do hopefully an episode on Dhanush's career, looking back. That's it for this episode of YY5. Thank you so much for tuning in. I love you all. We love you all.
Yes. Hope y'all learned something. And laughed with us, and super glad for anyone that's tuned in this far.
You're gonna get that special love.
Special love. So
until then,
that's
until we see you again, signing off. See y'all later.
Peace.